guys, Know the Art here with another speed paint. Welcome to MerMay, everyone. Hopefully this will be posted in May. So today's speed paint is my mer persona of me being a mermaid. So I thought I could spout off some mermaid facts as you watch me turn myself into a mermaid. So the first mermaid, or half-human recordings, come from ancient Syria with a woman whose name was Atargatis. She was a beautiful and powerful priestess who fell in love with a human shepherd boy. He, simply being mortal, did not survive her divine lovemaking and died. She became pregnant with his baby and soon became distraught and remorseful. After the birth of a baby girl, Semiramis on the shore, she threw herself into the ocean to drown. Ooh. After looking at some of these facts about mermaids, have a really sad life. Her beauty was so great that the gods did not let her die, but changed her into a mermaid with the upper body of a woman and a lower body of a fish. Well, I guess that one turned out happy. In Greek mythology, the tale of the Iliad, Odysseus asks his crew to tie him to the ship's mast to prevent him from falling in love with a mermaid and drowning himself in the sea. These mermaids were not only deadly and vicious, but they also had feathers and could fly. These mythical creatures later transformed into the siren-esque mermaids that lure men to their deaths that we know today. In the Middle Ages, this view evolved to more of a symbol of sin and seduction. Of course. I mean, Middle Ages, come on guys, really? I could go on and on about the medieval period and Middle Ages. Like, they destroyed everything. And so then we went back to this, like, archaic view of art, and it really upset me because they also destroyed so many great works of art that we lost almost half of like some really good pieces of art history, especially in the Byzantine era. The medieval church used mermaids and sirens to teach Christians about sin, salvation, and promiscuity. It was also told that seeing a mermaid was a bad omen and warned of a storm approaching with an inevitable sinking ship and death to the one who saw her. Which, if you haven't seen The Lighthouse with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, I'm not going to spoil it or anything. You should definitely watch it. There is a mermaid in the movie, and I gotta say, it kind of sticks with this, like, Christian view of mermaids. I'm not going to, like, say any more because I really want you to watch it. It's really good. If you are a big, like, thriller, I wouldn't say horror, but, like, psychological thriller fan, you will love The Lighthouse. The Old English word mer simply meant of the sea, so combining the mer and maid, the result is women of the sea. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? There's a good chance that lonely sailors mistook mermaids for manatees. I think that's the common, like, conception of, like, how we believe mermaids are real. Some accounts say that Christopher Columbus was seeing manatees rather than mermaids and even mistook a manatee skeleton for a mermaid. I don't know how that's possible, but I would suggest maybe looking up a manatee skeleton and let me know how much that works out. Did the sailors who were enchanted by the sea expect to see a mermaid, and when something resembled a maiden with a fishtail, it fit the bill? That is a good question. Like, were they just like, this is a very odd looking thing. Do you wonder if it could be a woman that is a fish? I don't know. Who's to say what sailors thought at that time? They were at sea for a long time, getting that scurvy, cabin fever, all of that stuff. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association says no evidence aquatic humanoids has ever been found. Doesn't mean there isn't there. I've read that there are millions of undiscovered fish in the sea. Like, the sea is probably the least explored thing. Like, we know so much about space, but we know nothing of the ocean. However, there is a number of mermaid sightings throughout history that would say otherwise, and I totally agree. You never know what's down in the ocean. Um, these facts, legends come from different parts of the world and are fun to know, but are hard to prove as fact. I mean, you can't really go off of like someone's like site, because you're gonna get a bunch of different stories from a bunch of different people who all saw the same thing. It says mermaids are water deities which have power over the elements. They get their powers being close to the water so they can't stray too far from their aquatic home. They can bless a nearby town with clean water, or if you upset them, they can do the opposite and really cause havoc. Immortality, hypnosis, telepathy, and seduction are also powers that a mermaid can possess. As it is known, mermaids drive sailors crazy from their beauty. It possibly could be an evolved predatory tactic, so mermaids could have their way with the human race, but mermaids are notorious for their breathtaking beauty. So we see kind of that siren song, mermaids luring the sailors into the depths to kill them and drown them. Or you could take it in the light that they're just curious about the people and they don't understand that humans can't breathe water. So then they kind of feel bad that they drown the people, but they're just so interested. It says, a kiss from a mermaid can be pretty magical. It has the ability to give you gills so you can breathe underwater. It could also be the secret fountain of youth or provide you powers to heal people. If you had the chance, would you kiss a mermaid? That is a good question. I don't know if I would want immortality or to stay young forever. I'm kind of excited to be old, to like look old. I say that now, but I'm almost to my 30s and I still look pretty good. Like, I don't look like I'm about to hit my 30s. If you saw me, you'd totally understand. Maybe it's because I feel like I'm a child at heart, and so that youth kind of exudes from my body. But granted, I am like stricken with stress and anxiety. I'm surprised that I don't look older than I'm supposed to from all the stress that I can get. Anyway, back to mermaids. There are multiple types of mermaids recorded throughout history. However, these can all be categorized into 4 groups. There's the traditional mermaids, like oceanids, live in the oceans or big open water areas. Selkies are found near the UK and Ireland, who shed their mermaid tails and have legs to walk around on land. I do know that they also, like, they can be seals, like they have like seal fur, and that they can take it off, and that if a man takes the fur and hides it, then she gets to stay on land, or has to stay on land, but she has this overwhelming desire to find the fur to be able to go back to the sea. Shapeshifters are known around the world and can transform into a human form whenever they like, and last are the merfolk, who mainly live on land but often travel to the sea in order to recharge their water spirits. Huh. I didn't know there was a difference between merfolk and mermaids. I thought mermaids were merfolk. Mermaids will often fall in love with humans. Some say falling in love will cure them of their tails so they can have legs forever. I feel like this is also based off of Hans Christian Andersen's story of the Little Mermaid, or Hans Christian Andersen based this off of kind of the folklore behind mermaids. Other mermaids seek out a human to have children with. If you do by chance fall in love with a mermaid, your luck has changed forever. Mermaids are great companions and often provide lifelong luck and cater to their spouse's every wish. The ocean gemstone called aquamarine is supposedly mermaid tears when they fall from a mermaid's face. These stones are known to have magical powers if one possesses them. To those who get their hands on this mermaid tear, it's known to have protective and healing powers associated with them. What's interesting, as I look through some of my notes, it says mermen came before mermaids. Mermen such as Neptune, Poseidon, and Babylonian god Oneus were around long before the goddess I'm so sorry for these names. Atargatis. These water deities didn't have tails, but had powers to control the waters and worshipped in different cultures. Triton came soon after, who was depicted with a beard, tails, and a trident or conch shell. So that's interesting that the idea of a merfolk or merman came before the idea of a mermaid. Depending on which era you are looking at. Mermen could either be glorious gods with muscles and beards, like in the Grecian time, they could be extremely ugly, with seaweed-like hair and green skin, like in the Irish culture. It seems that the popularity of the merman really started to recede compared to the mermaid. So it seems the Irish really wanted to like downsize the mermen so that they could keep their wives still having those babies. Trust me, I'm Irish Catholic. I feel like I could make that joke. Um, but that's interesting that there are two different types of mermen, because we normally think of mermen as like King Triton from The Little Mermaid, the Disney movie, but to see kind of this grotesque, but I guess they also make the joke of like the fish head and the male parts of the body. So that's interesting to consider. What's really cool is that there's all this history and folklore behind mermaids, but it has receded into our pop culture where you can see live mermaids performance a lot. I guess there's a place called Weeki Wachee in Florida. Around 15,000 mermaids have been performing at the Florida Springs for nearly 60 years. With these underwater windows, each mermaid show lasts about 45 minutes, with each mermaid submerged for 15 minutes with the help of underwater air hoses, and a must-see for mermaid fans. So if you're ever there after, the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, I would say take a look if you're a big mermaid fan. But I think that's all I have for mermaid facts. If you want to look into some more facts, modern day mermaids, within the last 5 years or so, mermaid tails have become more available than ever. You can live your dream as a mermaid no matter what age you are with fabric and silicone tails. You can see mermaid performances around the world in aquariums, parades, and even hire them for your birthday parties. A professional mermaid is actually a career now. I used to follow Hannah the Mermaid on Instagram. I don't know why I stopped following her, but she is a professional mermaid, and oh my goodness, her tales are fantastic, and she does such wonderful stuff for like the ocean and conservation of the ocean. I really enjoyed all of the things that she did, and she would go around and perform as a mermaid. She would do these underwater like performance art pieces, like she would dance with tiger sharks, and she would dance with the whale shark, and she would dance with stingrays, and it was so beautifully done. I'm so impressed how well she could hold her breath. I don't think she like had a lot of help with like the air hose or like scuba gear stuff. Like she held her breath for a really long time, and that's crazy. That's kind of fantastic how well you get to like hold your breath to become this mermaid. I would say I would love to try on a tail, especially the like newer silicone stuff, unlike before where it was probably a paper mache kind of deal that would fall apart. But also, I know that like Disneyland and Disney World used to have mermaids in like a mermaid lagoon. Like you could take a submarine ship, and the mermaids would like swim by, and they were like quote unquote live mermaids. And I thought that would be so cool to bring back, especially if we're gonna have like the live action mermaid, the Little Mermaid. Like you can bring all of Ariel's sisters, and you could do a bunch of fun like performances and stuff with that. I think that would be really cool. As we get to the end of my mer persona, if you hadn't noticed throughout the video, I might have done some jump things here and there, and started to add some things and not show that on camera, and that's because I was trying out a new style of like coloring in stuff based upon one of the artists that I follow on Instagram. I watched their videos on how they kind of use the tools that they have in like Photoshop and stuff, and so I really wanted to try that myself, and boy, was it a learning curve. I learned so much. I got so frustrated. I don't think you would want to see my frustration from all of it, so that's why I didn't film a lot of like certain pieces because I was just like, I was so done with this. Like some things weren't being colored correctly. You notice that there were spots that were showing up. I'm not quite sure what was happening. I think I might have accidentally deleted a layer that had something on it. I'm not quite sure, but I think in the end this piece turned out really well. I'm very proud of it, for all the work that I put in. I think I put in more work than I ever had before. Like, I worked on this a lot longer than I normally do on some of my other pieces, and so I think that was the frustrating part, that it took so long. But I think that's also because of the learning curve that happened, that I needed to be able to understand how these functions worked before I added in, or like try it on other projects. But since this piece, I have used bits and pieces of what I learned on other projects, and I would say that it has made coloring in pieces a lot faster, and so that's really nice, and it's added kind of this depth, and I'm able to do more of a shadow highlight that I've seen in other people's like projects and processes. So yeah, I think this is probably one of my favorite pieces besides the Tuna Draw This in Your Style challenge. I would say this is by far, in the past few months of working and having time to work, that I've really enjoyed this piece. Overall, I would say the MerMay pieces that I have on Instagram, because I know I'll post some videos before this happens, that I have really enjoyed these, and hopefully you've enjoyed them too. And if you're not following me on Instagram, do so at KnowTheArt. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video to let me know if you want to know more interesting facts. I might have another mermaid video up and talk more mermaid stuff, so let me know, and I will see you all next time. Bye!